April, thank you. Some students in the metro area can start returning to school next week. State Education Superintendent Dr. Cade Brumley went on a tour of several schools yesterday, and he noticed the timeline for reopening will vary parish by parish.
It is not an easy process to make that selection, and a lot goes into that consideration of when you can reopen, because you want to make sure once you give the public a date that you're confident in your ability to meet that deadline.
An estimated 250,000 Louisiana students are out of school because of the storm, but some of the first students will be returning to class are right here in New Orleans. New Orleans Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Henderson Lewis Jr. is joining us with more on the process. And you guys said yesterday you gave out a timeline for some of the schools. It has been tough. The hurricane, slammed into this city right in the middle of the fourth surge of COVID. So, I mean, you're dealing with multiple problems.
Yes, we are. And so as we think about our students returning back to the classroom beginning September 15th through September 22nd, we also know that our students, as they return back to school, we're encouraging them to actually get a COVID test prior to even returning back to school, so that when we get them back in school, they can stay in school.
And when you and State Superintendent Cade Brumley toured some of the schools, I mean, how many schools did have damage? Was any significant?
So we were very fortunate here in the city of New Orleans. Our damage to our school buildings was very, very minimal. At Frederick Douglass, for example, I think that's our school building that has received the most substantial damage. But again, if we just think back to 2005 and as we rebuilt our school system, that $2 billion investment of new facility, they were built to withstand the test. And so we're very fortunate that our buildings fared out well during the storm.
And do all schools, public schools, have power now, or are you still waiting on some to fire up, and that's why you're waiting for September the 15th to start moving kids back?
Yes, we've been working with Entergy. Each day they inform us of the buildings that have received power. Just like some of our neighborhoods, there are still a few neighborhoods that are not with power. And so we do have some school buildings that are not with power, but we're looking forward to, many of them more coming on today, and then hopefully if they don't come on today, within the next day or two.
And are people still anxious about COVID regulations and things like that? I mean, I know some people were wanting to have some virtual learning. Others were saying, no, let's get the kids back in the classroom. Is that still a problem?
That will be a problem as long as COVID is still in our community. But as a school system, NOLA Public Schools, we will continue to make sure that all of our safety protocols are in place, including our mask mandate, social distancing, washing of the hands, and just making sure that all those things are in place so that as our students and our educators return back to school, that it can be a safe place for everyone.
And obviously there's never a good time for a hurricane, but this came at a terrible time because, kids have been kind of falling behind because of COVID, and then all of a sudden you have the hurricane interrupt more. How are you going to make up the time that was lost, or will you have to?
So I met with my school leaders. We've been meeting actually every day. And one thing that I shared in our meeting on yesterday is to be able to look at the number of days that we've been out of school and to be able to look at how they were addressed those days. And I'll be meeting with our schools in the coming days to be able to work through all those things there. But we know it has been a very, very challenging time in Mother Nature. There's nothing that we can do about that in this moment, except for to be resilient as a community and get our students back in school and really support our educators as they're continuing to do an amazing job to catch our students up since we've been in this pandemic. And so we're very thankful and appreciative of our educators.
So what are you telling parents and students and even your staff the changes that we'll be seeing once school does open up?
Yeah, so our schools will be contacting their families individually by Friday to just give them an update on, first of all, their start date and any other additional pertinent information that they will need to get back into school. In addition to that, as a school system, we will be messaging and will continue to message the importance of receiving a COVID test before coming back to school. We just feel it's so important that we actually put that out there because we want to make sure, as I said before, that our students are able to remain in school once they return.
All right, thank you very much. There's going to be some hard times, but apparently you guys are up to the challenge.
Yes, thank you so much.